What I'm about to share with you has changed the lives of some of the highest performing people I've ever worked with. Olympians, world champions, Hall of Famers, CEOs, mothers, entrepreneurs, athletes. And it's changed my life more than anything I have ever taught. So here's what I want to say up front though. This is not like just a motivational video and not going to tell you to just believe in yourself and then hope you can get out there and do it. I'm not going to tell you to manifest, although that's a whole nother video. I'm not going to hand you a bunch of feel good language and send you back into a life where nothing actually changes. What I'm going to do is walk you through a mechanism, something that is happening in your body right now, most of the time, that you don't know is even happening. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you can't unsee it, you have real power over it. The mechanism has a name in my work, and I call it the guard that never stood down. Because there is a part of your nervous system that has been standing at attention since you were a child, defending you against threats that ended decades ago, and it has never once been given the signal to rest. The guard is why you are so tired. The guard is why you can't relax on vacation. The guard is why the wind doesn't feel as good as you thought it would. The guard is why you grip the golf club, the steering wheel, your calendar, your relationships, your image in the mirror. And most people go their whole lives never knowing it's there. And let's change that, right? Let me tell you when I first understood this. Early in my career, I was working with an athlete who had every physical gift you'd want, every single one. And this person was losing to competitors they were physically better than. I remember sitting across from them and asking one question: what were you thinking about right before that miss? And they got quiet and they said, I couldn't let it get away from me. I had to not miss, not the target, not the shot, what they couldn't afford to lose. In that exact moment, I understood what I had been circling for years. This athlete's body was still there, but their mind had switched from executing the skill to defending against the miss. And you cannot execute a precision skill from a defense mode. It is mechanically impossible. But here's the deeper thing I saw that day, and this is what reshaped my whole career. The athlete wasn't defending because they were nervous. They were defending because their nervous system did not know how to stop. That defense posture didn't start on that field. It started when they were 7 years old and a coach humiliated them in front of a team. It started when they were 9 and a parent told them their best wasn't enough. It started long before they ever picked up their sport. And I realized I'm not working with an athlete who chokes. I'm working with a child whose guard never stood down. Now grown up, now expecting to perform in front of thousands of people, still guarding against a moment 30 years ago. And that is what I have been unwinding in the highest performing humans on earth for the last 25 years. And it lives in every single one of you watching too. So let me tell you what's actually happening. Because when you see the mechanism, the whole thing just clicks. Your nervous system has 2 main branches: sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic is the defend, protect, guard, prepare, prevent loss, right? That's that branch. It causes, the heart rate to go up. Blood pressure is pulled to the muscles for fighting or fleeing. Prefrontal cortex, it gets hijacked. This is the branch built for acute threat. Then you've got the parasympathetic. That is the rest, digest, receive, heal, connect, sleep branch, right? Heart rate down, breath deep, digestion active, immune system engaged, fine motor control intact, prefrontal cortex clear. This is the branch built for everything else, which is supposed to be the rest and most of your life. Now, here's how the system was designed. Sympathetic was supposed to fire in bursts. You see a threat, you handle it. Threat resolved. You return to the parasympathetic. Body recovers, bursts on, bursts off. That's the design. But here's what's happened to most of us. Somewhere in your history, probably early, probably before you have clear memories of it, your nervous system learned something. It learned that it was not safe to fully stand down. Maybe it was a household where you had to read the room to stay okay. Maybe it was a parent who was unpredictable. Maybe it was a coach who taught you your worth was your performance. Maybe it was a moment of humiliation you decided would never happen again. Maybe it was chronic low-grade stress that never resolved. Maybe it was one thing. Maybe it was 10,000 small things. And your nervous system, which is brilliant, which is protective, which does love you, made a decision. It said, I have to stay partially on, just in case. And now, decades later, your body is still running that program. You are in low-grade sympathetic activation all day, every day, even when nothing is actually threatening you. Your body is guarding against a threat that ended when you were 7 or 17 or 27, but nobody ever told your nervous system it was over. The guard never stood down because nobody ever gave it a signal. Now, here's the piece nobody talks about, and this is the piece that changes everything. That guard is running in the background of every single thing you do, every meeting, every round of golf, every station on the range, every meal, every conversation with your spouse, every look in the mirror, every time you scroll your phone, every time you try to fall asleep. You think you're a person living a life. What you actually are, in most moments, is a nervous system defending against a threat that isn't in the room while trying to do everything a normal life requires. And that is why you are exhausted, not from the doing, from the guarding while doing. So I want you to really feel what this guard is costing you, because I don't think most people see that. And once you feel it, you'll do something about it, because it is costing you your performance. So athletes, every time you defend against the miss, every time you grip the club harder, every time you play not to lose, every time you protect the lead instead of playing the shot, that is the guard. And your trained skill physically cannot execute through it. That is why you leaked the shot, not because you're bad, because you were guarding. It is costing you your peace. And every time you finally sit down after a long day and can't actually rest, that's the guard. Your body doesn't know how to switch off because it was never told the danger past. It is costing you your body. The chronic cortisol is dysregulating your hormones, is disrupting your sleep, driving inflammation, building visceral fat, and making the body you're trying to change biochemically resistant to change. You have been treating your body like it was broken. It's not broken, it's guarded, and a guarded body cannot receive care. It's also costing you relationships. So the person you love is not living with you, you're living with your guard. And a guard cannot receive love, cannot let love in, cannot feel it fully, even when it's right there in the room. So every time you can't quite let someone all the way in, that's the guard, not you. It is costing you your success also. High achievers. Every win you achieve is being paid for with your nervous system, because you're not building from wholeness, you're building from defense. From, I have to prove I deserve this. And a nervous system running that program burns itself out no matter how much you achieve. That's why the top of the mountain never feels the way you thought it would, and it is costing you the actual experience of your one life. Because a guarded life is a life at a distance. You can't fully be in a moment you're defending against. You can only be in one that you're laid your guard down for. So your one life is happening right now, and the guard is between you and it. That's the cost. That's what I want you to feel. So now I want you to, be honest. And I want to be honest with you about something, because there is a lot of advice floating around about this, and most of it does not work. And I want to tell you why. You have probably heard, just relax. You've probably heard, breathe deeply. You've probably heard, let it go. You've probably heard, trust the process. You've probably heard, just be present. But here's the problem with all of that. Those are conscious commands issued to a subconscious guard. And they do not work at that level. Your prefrontal cortex, the thinking, logical, conscious part of your brain, cannot directly turn off your sympathetic nervous system. It cannot. You can know you're safe. You can tell yourself to relax. You can understand intellectually that there is no threat. And your body will still be gripping, still be guarded, still be leaking cortisol into your bloodstream. Because the guard is not stored in the prefrontal cortex. It's stored deeper in the brainstem, in the vagus nerve, in the subconscious pattern layer that was installed when you were far too young to reason your way out of it. You cannot willpower your way out of a subconscious pattern. You cannot think your way out of a pattern that was installed below thinking. You have to speak to the nervous system in the language it understands, which is not thoughts. It's sensation, breath, sound, safety cues, repetition, and even acknowledgement. And that is why just relax doesn't work. And that is why breathwork apps stop working after a week. And that is why meditation feels impossible for most people who need it most. That is why you can read every self-help book on the subject and still lie awake at 3 a.m. with a chest full of dread. So the guard is running below the surface. You have to work below the surface, and that is what I do. That is what my entire framework is built around, not the surface underneath it. So let me tell you what that looks like, what working underneath looks like, because I want you to understand what real transformation is. It's not the pop psychology version. Real transformation is when the guard that used to fire automatically stops firing automatically. It means you stand on the first tee and the tightness isn't there anymore because the pattern that used to activate it has been rewritten. It means you close on a huge business win and you actually feel it instead of immediately shifting into defense against losing it. It means you get into bed and your body actually lets go. And for the first time in years, your guard has permission to rest. It means you look at your body in the mirror and the automatic critic isn't there because the defensive pattern that used to fire and cause it to go has been laid down. It means you're in the middle of a conversation with your spouse and you can actually feel yourself there with them because your nervous system is not busy scanning for the next threat. That's what real work looks like. It's not, I'm trying to, really hard to relax. And it's the guard isn't there in the same way anymore. And that is not spiritual mystery. This is subconscious rewiring. It is the difference between telling yourself a new story on the surface and installing a new pattern where the old one used to live. And the tool I use for that, and this is why my framework works when other approaches don't, is hypnosis, specifically targeted hypnosis paired with a step-by-step framework that unwires the old guard and installs a new baseline underneath. And that's what I do. That's the whole thing. Not talk therapy, not motivation, not a 5-step morning routine. Real subconscious rewrite work and a structured framework. with the tools that actually reached the layer where the guard was first installed. And I want to be really honest with you about why I'm making this video, because the guard is running the show for a lot of people right now. And most of them don't know it. They think their life is the problem. They think if they just fixed the swing, fixed the body, fixed the marriage, fixed the business, fixed the sleep, then they'd feel okay. And they are pouring years and years of effort into fixing things that were never the actual problem. And meanwhile, the guard keeps guarding because the pattern keeps running underneath everything they do. And every win gets swallowed by the next thing to defend, and every loss becomes evidence that the guarding was justified. And they wake up 10 years later exhausted from a fight they were never actually in. And I don't want that for you. If you're watching this, you're the one who's ready to see the guard, and you're the one who's ready to stand it down. I've been building this framework for over 25 years. It's the same framework I use with top athletes in the world, the same framework I use with high-achieving executives. It's the same framework I use with women who are exhausted from a life they never actually get to feel. And it works because it goes underneath the pattern instead of trying to reason with it from above. And I want you to have that. So here's what I want you to do. Go to dawngrant.com right now, or as soon as you're finished with this video. When you get there, you're going to see the different areas I work with. Athletes, golfers, shotgun sports, high achievers, for success, stress-free, mindful living, weight loss and wellness, and Mind Mastered My Hypnosis app. So pick the one that's calling you. It doesn't matter which, because the guard is the same guard. The framework underneath is the same framework. The mechanisms is the same mechanisms. Whatever door you walk through will bring you into the work. So when you come inside my program, here's what you'll get. You'll get my complete, 21 mental training framework. It's 21 video lessons, deep dive video lessons, an hour and a half to 2 hours each, walking you through step by step through unwiring the exact patterns we talked about today. This is the framework I've built, again, well over 25 years working with the best in the world. And I've never released the whole thing in the format that I've built for it until now. So you get lesson-specific hypnosis audios because, and I said this earlier, the conscious lessons teach the pattern, but the hypnosis is what installs the new patterns where it actually lives. And this is the piece that makes the work stick. So you get Mind Mastered Collective, my private community where you get direct access to me and group sessions and a community of people doing this work alongside you. You also get my monthly Dialogue with Dawn live Q&As where you bring your real situation and I coach you on it directly. And you get the full archive of years of past Dialogue with Dawn. So hundreds of years of me answering questions and coaching people through the exact kinds of patterns we talked about today. And that's the whole system. The lessons teach it, the audios install it, the community holds it, and I coach you through it. Is the same work I've done with the top of the top, and it is now available to you. So I want you to hear this last thing. Your guard has been standing at attention for a long time. It has been loyal. It has done its job, but the war it was standing against ended a long time ago, and nobody has ever told it that it can rest. So you are the only one who can do that, and you don't have to do it alone. So dawngrant.com, pick your door, come inside. Let's give the guard its rest, and let's give you your life back. So I love you guys. I'll see you inside.